Cambridge Radio. From the Terraces.
Cambridge Radio.
This is From the Terraces on Cambridge Radio. I'm your host, Scott McGeorge. Goals from Ben Knight and Isaac Heath meant the U's are in Monday's second round draw as they defeated Barnet in the Carabao Cup at the Abbey yesterday. We've got all the match reaction from Neil Harris. Earlier on this week, I caught up with stadium manager and head groundsman Ian Darla as he explains how tough this summer has been with the heat and dry conditions. Also, I've been speaking to club chaplain Stuart Wood. Stay tuned to find out more about Stuart's role at the football club. Both Histon and Cambridge City had great results in the FA Cup. We'll bring you all the reaction for both camps. If you'd like to get involved in tonight's show, you can do that via text or WhatsApp on 07919 070490. Alternatively, if you want to email, you can do that at studio@cambridge.radio. We'll begin the show as we usually do, and that's with Cambridge United.
From the Terraces.
Cambridge United.
So it's a very good evening from our Gwyder Street studio. Myself and Gary reflect on a satisfactory victory in the Carabao Cup yesterday. The U's coming from behind to beat Barnet 2-1. A very good evening to you, Gary. How are you doing?
Hey, Scott. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
And what was your thoughts on yesterday's result and performance against Barnet as we progress into the second round of the Carabao Cup, the draw taking place tomorrow evening?
Result was positive. And generally the performance wasn't too bad. I think you could be overcritical of what was a draw, or sorry, a bridge between the friendlies and a league match. And generally there's some really good performances. I thought Isaac Heath played very well after perhaps the first 20 minutes when he was a little bit isolated. I thought Bennett did really well on the right. I thought Atyes had a great game up front. Yeah, some really positive stuff against a very, very strong, powerful physical side who get the ball forward early and are very tough, in terms of defending against.
Yeah, really tough opponent, Barnet. We played them a couple of times last year, didn't we? And the Virtue Trophy, and always a well-drilled side. Dean Brennan's teams, they're fit, physical, organised, bombard you with long throws with Danny Collins and the set pieces. So they certainly put you under pressure, Barnet, don't they?
They do. And the first sort of 20 minutes, it was like the ball was being launched forward, and I said, like, our defence will almost have a UFC fight to get hold of the game. I mean, it was tough. All the four lads at the back, particularly Job and Watts, who actually did very, very well. But it's a real physical game against some really physical and strong players.
It was interesting when we got the team sheet through. Evidently the formation was a 4-2-3-1. I know we'll probably flip between the two, but a lot of our success last season was with a three at the back, with Gibbo, Watts and Job, and then Liam Bennett and either Brophy or Mayer, etc., playing wing backs. But I thought just a couple of times we looked a little bit square with the four at the back. It'll be interesting to see what way they go. Obviously you've got to be versatile and can't be a one-trick pony, but don't know what you think to that formation, Gary.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it took me a little while to actually work out that we were playing in that, and of course the fact that Patrick Bauer wasn't there in what was a really physical game, you perhaps thought that might have been a really good game for him to be involved, but clearly either Neil and Adam wanted to work that out and actually have a four to see how it went, or they just want to find out what is the best route in terms of League One and potentially switching between the two. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there was it was a little bit square at times. I agree with that, Scott. But yeah, they did okay, and I think as the game went on, they settled into the game, and the defending there to do at the end wasn't necessarily down to the back four. It was more about the fact that some of the players, we lost a little bit of our outlet up front and a bit of control of the game.
Yeah, you mentioned losing some outlet up front, and as we got the team sheet through, it's 2 goalkeepers on the bench with 8 substitutes, JJ Briggs and Ben Hughes, and there was one omission, wasn't involved against Norwich on Tuesday, and Gassana had me, so yeah, we know he comes with a little bit of a disclaimer regarding injury. Real fit lad. Obviously, I caught up with him in Spain and did the interview, and yeah, just gutted for him and the supporters that he's going to miss out for, as Neil said, a few weeks. So may well rule him out until the end of August. This abductor injury. We hope that's worst case.
Yeah, that was a massive blow. To see his name, missing from the team sheet when it came out about an hour before was quite tough to take, because it was a game that was made for him, really. His physical presence would have given them something to really, think about. But equally, I thought Atyes did really well, standing in for him or in that role. Let's just hope it's not too long, as you say. Perhaps not too severe.
Yeah, fingers crossed for Gassan. It's a disappointment. We had Lavery last pre-season, didn't we? Go down with his hamstring, and now Gassan. So disappointing for Gassan, but just hope it's superficial and it is just a few weeks, but quite frustrating to say the least. We've got a message in here. Hi Scott, hope all well. Must say I'm a bit worried in regard to recruitment. Look light in a few areas and see the number 8 shirt is still vacant. Luke Berry? ? I wish. Also think the best formation is a 3-4-3, as Perry and Bennett are fantastic wing backs, and Job Watts and the big German lad. Thoughts? Great show, Jim in March. Thank you very much, Jim. And just sort of discussed the formation issue. Gary, I think, as I say, will be pretty flexible and flip between the two. I spoke to Adam Barrett out in Spain, and again, it will just be what personnel we have available first and foremost, and who we're coming up against. But yeah, good thoughts, Jim, there. And yeah, I had a message. I was on a train coming back from London on Friday, and I had a message suggesting that there's a few rumours floating about Luke Berry. I kind of ruled it out at the start of pre-season. Just people put 2 and 2 together, same with Paul Mullen, etc, etc. But yeah, given the situation we're in, Gary, we're a little bit light. He's 34, but I know Bez relatively well. He's a scholar, along with my brother, all them years ago. I caught up with him a year ago when he came with Charlton, and I know he's teetotal. He looks after himself, Bez, and just loves playing football. And I've kind of come round to the idea now. I think he's been in them higher leagues and still been operating well, and yeah, I think he could still do a job for perhaps a year or so. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think last week I said we needed some younger legs in there, so it probably doesn't quite, at the age of 34, work to that effect. But yeah, you're right. He's a very experienced player. Certainly offers us something a little bit different to Pelly, who come on yesterday, and McLaughlin, and Bawley. Scores a few goals. Again, he's obviously learned. He's been around now, hasn't he? Had some great seasons with Luton Town. I think his experience would be good. Certainly at this point in the season, I think with being a bit short, it's not a case that we'll take who we can, but he'd be a good opportunity to have him in. He'd be a useful asset, I think. Yeah, why not? I performed pretty well for Charlton. I think a couple of seasons ago he was their player of the year, and Nathan Jones likes him. And players can go on a little bit longer now. We look at 34-year-olds sort of been and done, and I agree with you. I'd prefer perhaps a younger model, given that we've got the likes of Ball and Pelly, etc. in there. But it'd be interesting, and I think he could sort of pop up with a few goals and still be a useful addition, even if it was on a short-term deal. So, like Jim says, the number 8 shirt's still available, and quite frankly, we do need a number 8 style player. We do. That's the one thing I think most of the fans are worried about, is the recruitment. But that said, we're not the only club in that situation. that lot up the road at the A1 are in a similar situation. I think we're hearing the same things. A lot of the players are looking for more money, all the time. The money that's come into League One this year through Leicester and through Sheffield Wednesday and one or two other clubs is, just horrendous at times from our point of view. So someone like Luke and his quality at this point in his career, one season potentially or two wouldn't do any harm.
Yeah, location-wise, it fits. He's a competent lad. He's been sort of southern player, hasn't he, with Luton and Charlton? So that's always a factor, isn't it? We've seen that, obviously, with Gibbo moving on with the location issue. And Bez is a fairly local lad, so you could see it. But be very, very interesting. And just on recruitment, I spoke to Neil at the presser Thursday, and he said not many things blow his mind, but this summer really, really has. I think first and foremost, the world has gone ridiculously expensive. Cambridge has gone expensive. The UK is expensive, and football's no different. And you got ridiculous, astronomical amounts of money in the Premier League and Premier League, Championship, League One. It filters down, and agents and players just demanding crazy amounts. I saw an interview with Michael Duff, the Wickham head coach there, and he said, we've put some really healthy bids in for players and we're just getting blown out the water. We can't compete with the big hitters, and this isn't exclusive to Cambridge United, is it? No,
we've seen what happened with Wrexham being in the division and Birmingham City, and if we could have been in it last year, which was probably a better year to be in it from our point of view in League One, and now we're seeing Leicester City and Sheffield Wednesday rock up again with money to support them. And you're right, it's becoming almost, when you've got people like Duffy moaning about, because they've got a billionaire, Lithuanian billionaire I think, backing them. They've got money, so they're offering probably better money than we are. So if they can't compete, then obviously it's going to be really tough for us. Let's just hope that as it gets nearer the start of the season and the end of the window, some of these players think, well, actually, I'd rather be playing football and earn a little bit less, and we can, we benefit from that.
Yeah, the way Neil put it, sort of post-presser, he just really is sort of baffled by it. He said, can only hope that it settles down, but we just can't compete. And as I said, I reiterate, it's not exclusive to Cambridge. You speak to all these managers and they're all virtually saying we're 2, 3, 4 players light. And, it is a concern. It seems to be getting worse and more expensive each summer. So we hope it settles down and we can get some quality in, and Neil can kind of lean on some of his contacts. He sort of said it's like having 300 grand to spend on a house, and you're looking at them type of players, but you're looking at £1 million houses, and you just can't go there. We just can't fish in that way. So he is becoming frustrated by it, and clearly we are light. You look at the bench there yesterday, 2 goalkeepers, and then we've got the 3 players on the treatment table now. It's far from ideal. We've still got a strong side, but we can ill afford too many more injuries at this stage.
We've been in this situation before a little bit. I mean, I come back to the time perhaps back in November last year when Kylian Kouassi got that injury. And we were all worried, weren't we? What we're going to do. We just got Atyes left up front, and somehow between then and the transfer window, we got some really good results. Places like Chesterfield, and we did really, really well. And actually, Neil and Adam managed to produce a bit of a silk purse out of a pig's ear situation. So hopefully we can do that until we get some more bodies in, which may be later in the window than we'd like. But I thought at least the performance yesterday, from my point of view, we played some nice football on the break in terms of the football that was played. We kept the ball on the deck and moved it forward really quickly. We had some good chances where Ben Knight and particularly Glenn McConnell, I thought, just sort of weak efforts really, which you expect a little bit better, particularly from Ben. So there were some real positives in there, and actually to come back from 1-0 down against a really tough physical team that are competitive actually isn't so bad. And we're in the hat for the next round, and Barnet aren't, and that's an important factor in terms of another game to play one or two of the squad players.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it was job done, wasn't it? We're in the next round, and hopefully we get a plum tie. It's not a lucrative cup competition there, but we just hope it does open up the window. I can understand fans' anxiety and frustration. It's completely normal. I'm not immune to it. I'm sort of looking at what we've got and our depth, and like I said, we can't afford too many more key injuries, which will definitely be a blow. I mean, Neil's a good manager. Again, for another analogy, like if he's got the tools, he can be a really good builder, but at the moment he's got to be a smart handyman, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. That's a very good analogy, actually. No, I trust what they're doing, and I trust in the ownership as well, not overspending, because obviously the club has to be sustainable. And perhaps we're in a position where if you're hearing people like Duffy, and we're hearing it from up the A1, everybody's struggling to get the players in to fit their squads, to build their squads, to have those players on the bench and two players per position. But hopefully by the end of the window that will all change. And I trust the management team, and I trust the owners.
Yeah, fingers crossed that it just opens up. There's obviously about 3 weeks remaining of the window, and like Neil said, once players start realising they're not getting game time, then they might sort of think otherwise about hopefully moving on. It's a bit of, as I said, it's a sad situation, and it seems to be getting more expensive and harder to recruit sort of decent players and get value for money each year, which is the real concern. Got another message in from Neil Bradshaw. Dear Gary and Scott, hope you're well. Sheffield Wednesday have sold 25,000 season tickets. I think Cambridge United will sell 4,000 season tickets. I think that's a record, as we usually sell 2,000. Good point, Neil. Sales are really good, and commercially with the shirts and the merchandise of the club are doing great there. Neil continues with, I don't think we can compete financially with Leicester, Sheffield Wednesday, Oxford, Barnsley and Huddersfield are the millions, but I fancy we'll finish halfway or top 10. Good to get in round 2 of the League Cup with the draw on Monday, so nice and positive, Neil. And just before we go on to a bit of the match action, Gary, just for the supporters, it's really important to stay positive. We had a great season last season. We overachieved. We've got a very good manager. We've got a very good director of football. The infrastructure of the club is brilliant, and supporters are a massive part of this football club. We don't get 25,000, as Neil says there. We get our six, almost 7,000 as it is now. But they've got to stay positive. It's easy to support when things are going well and you're running on the pitch at the end of last season. But there's going to be adversity this season. There's going to be tough times. That's when you need your supporters to be on their game. Yeah,
if you were negative after 10 games and we'd lost 7 of those or 8 of those, then I can understand it. But we've had pre-season and we've won in the League Cup. We're in round 2 with a chance to draw Chelsea or Tottenham away. Why are people negative? I don't understand. I think it's probably life these days. People try to find a negative rather than a positive. Myself, I still trust everything that's going on. I think the club's run better than it's ever been run in its history. So from my point of view, stay positive. That's what the fans need to do. Absolutely. We'll go on to the match action then for the game against Barnet yesterday, first half. I thought sort of fairly even. Gary, Neil said we were the better side, but I didn't think there was an awful lot in it. Tavares obviously had that glaring chance just after a quarter of an hour there from the Lakin free kick, which United will want to address that. You can't afford to give players that amount of time at the back post there. Fortunately for us, he put it over. But the U's look good on the counter-attack in the transition there with obviously Ben Knight. I was asked today, I was out of family doing who's your best player, your star man, and without doubt it's Ben Knight. He's just aesthetically he's brilliant to watch, isn't he? He's a fan-friendly player. The way he dribbles, it's like the ball's on a string, quite honestly. And himself, McConnell, and like you said, Louis Appere linking up well to create a few good chances there in the first half. And Neil suggested he wasn't happy with the end product. That was the thing that was missing, which is quite important. No, I'm not surprised that he wasn't happy, to be honest with you. I mean, the one person you want it to fall to is Ben, because we know he can, bang them in from outside the box, and he had 2 really good opportunities. Got himself in such a good position, and then didn't quite pull the trigger or fluffed the opposite shot. And then Glenn McConnell the same. I think one of those Atyes put him through, and it was just very slightly late. The ball was put through, and he didn't have quite the ability to be able to get any power behind it. But the fact he got himself in those positions, which I think Neil commented on, was really good. Yeah, we could have done better, and that was a bit frustrating. But actually, some of that build-up play and, as you say, in transition and the counter-attacking was lovely to watch. And in comparison to having the ball just launched forward all the time, you know, you want to see a bit of football, and you want to see that skill that people like Ben Knight and Isaac Heath again yesterday brought to the occasion. And no surprise, it was both of those two that popped up with the goals.
Yeah, I like Isaac the more I've watched him. Obviously, we saw him in Spain, and for a young lad, he's not erratic. He's quite smart. You can see he's got the brain as well, and good to see him. We'll talk about his goal, but getting into them positions, which again, that's a skill set that Neil and Adam Barrett and Liam O'Neill and the coaching staff will drill into players just to get the absolute maximum, and then players are going to need to get numbers and chip in. But yeah, it was good to see Hughes looking a threat on the break, and we've got players to hurt teams on the break, like you alluded to there. And the game really sort of coming to life second half with all the goals. Gary in front of 3,500 there, which is a pretty decent crowd given that it's Carabao Cup, people are still on holiday, etc. But stunning day there at the Abbey, and if you do go in the main stand, I recommend going to the Chicken United, I think they call it now. Wonderful array of chicken tenders, so I thought I'd give that a little bit of a plug. Went down well for my pre-match there. But yeah, second half action. Tishamanga, who's a pretty useful forward, very strong, powerful, and they were a threat, Barnet, throughout the afternoon. Again, I thought we just got caught a little bit square with that back four, and they worked it down their left, our right, got it into the box, and he's hammered it in at the third time of asking. Perry cleared off the line, and Watts blocked one. It was great finish by Tishamanga, to be fair. Hit it hard and low, head and knee over the ball, and yeah, we were chasing the game from there.
Yeah, you thought we'd done enough for those two efforts to stop it going in, and then the third one goes in. But it's it is frustrating. But you know, as you said, we did look a little bit square at times. There are things that can be ironed out. You know, we were really good defensively last season. I think we'll be again. Slight change in personnel, obviously no Gibbo, so we've got Perry that's come in. You know, it will take a little time to settle, and it also might be that we go back to the 3 against Wigan potentially with Big Patrick in there. I thought we perhaps could have done a bit better in the air at times, yesterday personally, from the defensive scenario. So
you'd have enjoyed that game, Patrick, I think, with the physicality that Barnet brought to the table with Kanu and Tishamanga, etc.
Yeah, I think he would have been absolutely up his street. That was why I was surprised he wasn't starting. But you know, Neil and Adam did it for whatever reasons. They're looking at various options, and this was the last chance probably to try that opportunity before four at the back before obviously we play against Wigan next week. And
it seemed to wake United up going behind. You know, they were probably in second or third gear, and they certainly found at least fourth then, and it's like poking an angry lion, because it wasn't long before United were back on parity with that man Ben Knight. He makes his own luck, but good work from Callum Perry there down the left, found Glenn McConnell. He opened his body up and found Ben Knight. We know Ben likes playing on the right because he can cut on in his left foot, and he just jinked his way into the box and just manufactured the chance. So he got the deflection, but brilliant skill and feet, and he makes his own luck, Ben, doesn't he?
He does, and exactly what he did first half when he got himself in those positions. He hit the shot, all right, he got a deflection, but that's what you want. You'd rather that than what happened first half. And actually both goals were really nice bits of football in the build-up. So, and to come back from behind and show that character is important. And with, you know, we got those 2 goals with, you know, really good passages of play.
Absolutely. And then 57 minutes, not too much longer after, it was Isaac Heath with a lovely little sort of back flick finish. I love to see that. Again, just shows that the lad's playing with confidence, and he's got that sort of quality on his locker. I just like that. I know he was close in, but a lovely little finish there with a little back flick. But again, Glenn McConnell in the action. I thought he had a sort of quietly good game. His shot was blocked, and Louis Atyes, who thought I thought he was superb yesterday. Arguably it was one of his best games in an amber and black shirt yesterday. McConnell's shot was blocked and Atyes was sharp on the loose ball and flashed it back across the box to be dispatched by Isaac Heath, and not to go unnoticed, Louis' great work, the way he sort of retrieved the ball and flashed it in for Heath.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Isaac Heath is a clever little footballer. He's a very diminutive figure, isn't he, on the field? You know, he's not a big lad, but a clever footballer. And as you say, he's got pretty confidence. You know, he knows what he wants to do with the ball. A couple of times his tricks and the way he dropped a shoulder here and there, got past people, cut inside. You know, he's not a one-trick pony. He doesn't look just go past people all the time. So I think we've got ourselves another clever little footballer. Glenn McConnell, I thought, had an encouraging game. You know, there was some good stuff in there from Glenn, which is what we want. We talked about him last week. And I thought Atyes was brilliant yesterday. He worked his socks off in a really tough game and did some great link play and hold-up play. So, yeah, pretty good.
That leads us into a perfect segue about the Louis Atyes topic, and I posed that question to Neil yesterday. I thought he had a great game, Louis. Something that impressed me was Louis Atyes. I thought he led the line really well, looked really strong, and so you must have been sort of pleased with Louis' performance leading the line there.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. I thought we saw a different Louis Atyes that played against Barnet last year, that I thought got bullied last year and outrun. Today I thought we saw a player play with real confidence. Look, Gassan's got an abductor injury, he's going to be missing for a couple of weeks, it's a shame for us on the top end of the pitch, but I thought Louis was exceptional today, and he's I thought his link-up play, I thought his decision-making, his time he was released was excellent. He was unlucky not to score in the first half. I was really impressed with him today.
Is that the thing with Louis, just trying to get that bit more ruthlessness out of him? Like, he leads the line, runs the channels well, links up the play, but it's just getting that goal return from him, I guess.
Yeah. I think you know, everyone's be respectful to how important a player he is for the football club and how important he was last year. I understand people question players because they wear a number 9 shirt and don't score loads of goals, but that's where I don't understand people, because the modern world don't work like that. Because he's not a Haaland who scores every week, but we're not Man City. So fans have to respect, because we do, everyone has to respect that there's different roles and responsibilities in teams, and I thought Lou was exceptional last year for us without a big goals return, and this year he's going to be really important to us today as well, because you know he's a stable factor. He trains every day, he works hard every day, he's an unbelievable presser of the ball, and he's great in competing in everything we do. He's important in both boxes without always being a goal threat in the attacking box, but he really helps us get up the pitch, and that's not going to change, and that's why we like the profile, and that's why we've gone and got Gassan as well, as a very similar profile. That's why it's important to have 2 9s that can do that work that we need them to do, because when you lose one, or you need to rotate after 45 or 60 minutes, then you've got that opportunity.
That's Neil Harris there on Louis Atyes, and whether Louis would have started or Gassan's up for debate. I think it probably would have been Gassan going into Wigan next week, but he's not available, so Louis you would guess will get the start. And off the back of that performance, I thought it was really encouraging. I thought Neil was spot on. He was sort of got bullied out of games to a degree last season, but he was winning most of his duels yesterday, which was promising against, like we've alluded to, a really physical backline in Barnet.
Yes, absolutely. They're tough to play against, and I thought Louis had a really good game against them, and that's as much as you can ask, really. It won't be quite as physical, I wouldn't think, next week. There'll probably be good quality centre halves they got at Wigan, but again, he put a really good shift in, and we haven't got Hadmi, so his performance yesterday was really promising, considering that Hadmi's missing.
Yeah, he kind of set the bar with that performance now. I guess Neil will say in training, well, same again, please, Louis.
Yeah.
But United kind of saw the game out. Pelly had a good chance, I think. A few times there, he had, as Neil would say, he had his boots on the wrong feet. But funny player, Pelly. We talk about him a lot. He can be very good or very erratic, and he had a good chance straight at Cox, and then Barnet came closer with a long throw and set pieces and a couple off the line, and we just about sort of got bodies on the line and done enough to.
Yeah.
I think did we just about edge the game, Gary? Do you think it was close? There wasn't a lot in it, was there? I can see why Barnet and Dean Brennan might have thought they were a little bit hard done by a couple disallowed, and they put us under pressure at the end there.
Yeah, well, a foul's a foul. So if it's a foul, it's not a goal, is it? Because it goes to be a free kick. Dean Brennan will want that all the time because, and I think he thought we were a more physical team, which in itself is ludicrous. But what I would say with the overall performance, I think we just shaded it. Yeah, the last 15 minutes when we took Atyes off, we lost that outlet up front. Lavery was running around and not quite getting into the game. It's difficult, isn't it, for him, because he's not a player of that stature. So it never really stuck up there. And on a couple of occasions, we made the wrong decisions and people gave the ball away. Pelly was particularly at fault for that. Didn't have one of his best games. He certainly had his boots on the wrong foot, that's for sure. But I think, you've still got to defend those situations, and we did. And they didn't put the ball in the net, and we did. And that's the difference at the end of the day. So Dean Brennan can moan as much as he want. They didn't score 2 goals, we did.
The draw takes place tomorrow night, Monday evening there, Gary. They will latch that on to the Devon Derby where Plymouth take on Exeter. It's regionalised still, so anyone you fancy there? Some big hitters in there?
Well, after a day in West London last year at Fulham at Craven Cottage, I think should we go to Stamford Bridge this time? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Stamford Bridge, because they're not in Europe. Tottenham obviously are up for grabs. Visit to Championship, West Ham, big stadium. They're all in London. Fulham again? No, let's go back and do somebody else this time around. So I think any big club in London probably would be fantastic.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? Let's hear from Neil Harris post-match. Neil, all about the result today, 2-1 win. What did you make of the performance as a whole?
Yeah, I understand about the result. It's cup football, is about getting through. I let everyone into a little secret that we won't win this competition this year on Thursday, which I don't think surprised anybody. But it wasn't just about the result for me. The result was nice to get through, nice for the fans to see a home win on the back of the momentum from last year. However, I want to see structure as well. I want to see individual performances. I want to see combination play. I want to see structure. I wanted to, it was a very young side, 6 players under the age of 24. A lot of players haven't played a lot of football, and not the biggest side either. So I wanted to see a competitive nature to us as well in a different way from those players, and I saw a lot of positives, and I was really pleased with a lot of it. Again, we showed a character that took a few months to build last year, coming from behind in a game. Something that was pointed out to me on numerous occasions last year that hadn't happened for a long time, and we've done it again on day one. So there was a lot of positives, and none more so than a couple of good goals.
Fair to say the first half was a little bit slow and the game really sort of kicked into gear with all the goals coming in the second half there.
Yeah, I think the first half had a little bit of pre-season feel to it, in the sense of the pitch is really dry just because of the conditions, and the weather's just boiling hot. So I thought it was a little bit slow at times, a little bit stop-start. Thought we were the better team, and mostly on the counter-attack. Their moments come from us turning the ball over and set plays, and then our moments come from sort of the counter-attack really, where I thought we was a real threat, and ultimately I felt we should have been in front at half-time. Disappointed with our end product in the first half, and spoke about it at half-time. Talked about, as again my terminology, numbers, goals and assists. You have to get them in levels, and second half we showed that in a 15-minute period that we'd done it twice and we was unlucky not to do it again. So that's going to be key for us this year. When we have our spells in games, then we have to make sure we hit those numbers.
You'd have been pleased to see 2 of your sort of mavericks, as you call them, getting on the end of things in the box there. Ben Knight wriggled his way through and smuggled in for the equaliser, and then neat little finish from Isaac Heath. Good to open his account for the U's on the Abbey Stadium turf.
Yeah, important for both of them. We saw last year that the Mavericks and the Tens, I call them, get goals return. We saw it with SK last year. We saw it with Ben Knight last year, where they become such influential players for us. And it's going to be the same this year. They're going to fall in that category. Isaac Heath falls in that category. Glenn McConnell falls in that category. Callum Stead, when he's fit, falls in that category. They've got to find numbers, goals and assists, and avenues to get us up the pitch, to create chances for us, to win set plays for us, to put in the box. And to see Ben on the back of me having a quiet, probably wasn't actually a quiet word, with his end product in the first half. Second half, find a moment like that, even for deflection, is a lovely moment for him. Important for him to get off the mark on day one, because it took him 5 months last year to get off the mark. And then Isaac Heath, he scored in the 6-yard box. Isaac Heath, watching back, didn't often get in the 6-yard box last year, but that's the bits we're trying to add to people's game. You have to move with the times, move with the game. Those are delighted for those 2 players to get off the mark.
And even if it's still a work in progress, Neil, winning's a good habit, and it's nice to get off to a good start here in competitive action.
Yeah, it is. It's not the be all and end all. It's nice bit of momentum. Keeps breeding confidence. But it's all about next week. It's all about Wigan at home.
Cheers, Neil.
Cheers.
Cambridge Radio.
From the Terraces.
And as mentioned at the top of the show, I caught up with stadium manager and head groundsman Ian Darler earlier on the week. You know, he's had a tough summer with the hot conditions. It's been phenomenal, hasn't it, this summer, and it's caused plenty of problems and challenges for Ian and his team. Here's the interview I got with Ian earlier on this week. So Ian, back end of last season, most people go off on holiday, but it's a busy time for ground staff with all the pitch renovation and stuff going on externally. How have you found the summer?
Probably the most challenging I've ever had in 48 years, Scott, to be honest. I think when you look at what we've had with the weather, 5 official heat waves, which is the first time ever in our generation. Issues with contractors around the stadium with the North Terrace toilet complex and whatever. All the units turned up 4 weeks late, which had a massive knock-on effect. Very challenging.
And we were, of course, only one goal away from being in the playoffs, which would have extended our season further. So that kind of is a little bit of a silver lining.
Yeah, I think you learn over the years. You just have to deal with what time you've got available. So I think we've progressed really, really well in very challenging times, and I'm really grateful again to Alex Tunbridge for the support he's given me during that time.
This is your 48th season, I believe, Ian. Has this been one of the most challenging summers that you've encountered so far?
Yeah, without a doubt. I've never experienced anything like the temperatures that we're seeing, and across the board, really, like I've said earlier, like every aspect that could offer you a challenge has done. I think the fact that the heat has caused us major issues with the pitch. As you can see, everybody locally can see that there's not a piece of green grass anywhere in the county. The fact that we've got irrigation obviously does help. But had we had a crystal ball, I probably wouldn't have put new gravel bands in this year because the heat is attracted to sand and gravel, and we've had a job to keep the new gravel bands alive. In fact, we've had to reseed them twice, which is really unusual because you normally do the job once and it flies away and everything's done. But equally, I think we've had to adjust just about every element of the job where you're normally putting fertiliser on or liquid feeds in the normal time of a day, say at 10 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We've had to wait for the temperatures to drop, and I've been putting liquid feeds on at 10 p.m. at night so that we don't scorch. So the job's been challenging, but that's what the job is.
If you had to put more irrigation on, I know the pitch has to sit at a certain percentage of moisture anyway as it's sand-based.
Yeah, I think, again, that's been another challenge where we normally try to flood the pitch and then starve it of water, flood the pitch, starve it of water, because the idea is that you get the moisture in the ground and then you get your root activity. We just simply haven't been able to do that. If we left the pitch for 2 or 3 days with the heat that we've had, the pitch would look like it does everywhere else in the county at the minute, and it just wouldn't be fit to play on. So we've got a lot of work still to do when the weather does turn a little bit cooler, but to be where we are at the moment, the way the pitch looks, I'm quite pleased. I think Northampton staff were saying that they've had problems with their pitch as well, and were quite pleased to see the condition ours was in. So I was really chuffed, really, that everything was okay for the Northampton game. The pitch played reasonably well. But obviously it goes a lot further than what I have to deal with here. Robbie at the training ground and the staff down there have performed miracles when you think we've got 4.5 pitches at Bentley Road, and they look immaculate. We're a little bit fortunate that they're not on a sand-based pitch, so it doesn't have quite the effect as it does on sand. But Robbie and the troops down there have done an amazing job as well. When you walk in the training facilities, it looks like a lot higher level than what we're playing at.
Yeah, I must agree with that. I went down a week or so ago and they are in tremendous shape. Did that help, just having the one friendly, Ian? I think you probably suggested the pitch isn't the finished article at the moment, but it will come good in the coming weeks as it settles down and games have been played on it.
Yeah, I think early doors it's good with Mark and Neil only having the one game here. Obviously, we had the Junior U's event here on Monday, so there was a full-blown training session, which again the pitch held up well. But you just have to get on with things, Scott. I think this is the normal. This is the new normal now. I think every year could be like this. So we have to adjust to what's thrown at us. I've got no doubts at all. Come October, November, we'll all be moaning that everywhere's flooded, because I'm still a great believer that that's nature's way. And yet there is an element of global warming and climate change, but equally nature has a wonderful way of looking after itself.
Just finally, I associate the Abbey Stadium with Ian Darley. You've been here since 1979. Even going right back, I did my work experience here many, many years ago when I was a 15, 16-year-old, and you've still got that buzz and enthusiasm to come into work every day.
Yeah, I think we're normally here just after 7. We finish around about 5. Match days on a Tuesday. It's a 7 o'clock start in the morning, a midnight finish. And the day that I don't feel that I'm enthusiastic about it will be the day that I decide enough's enough. But I'm a long way from that at the minute. There's a lot of great people working here. I love working with Mark Bonner. I love working with Neil. Alex has been an absolute legend to work with, and my staff, Mick, Carl, Robbie, Graham, I can't give them enough praise because the commitment they've all given again over the last 12 months is simply outstanding.
Pleasure, Ian. Thanks ever so much for your time.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you very much, Ian Darla, for taking time out of your week to speak to me during the week there. As I say, he's had a challenging time there, Ian, and the pitch, not quite the finished article, it's getting there, but it's been tremendously hot, playing a slightly bit slow at the moment, but it will come good. And when we start getting our sort of normal temperatures back and the games get played on it, I think it will settle down, and it'll be at optimum. We're going to move on now. Next, you're listening to From the Terraces. This is Scott McGeorge. We've got Stuart Wood next. He's the club chaplain along with Ben Barton. I sat down with Stuart earlier on in the week to find out a bit more about his role. It's a voluntary role and he does such a brilliant job at the football club. Here's Stuart Wood. So I'm sat down with Stuart. We are at Barnwell Baptist Church where you're a minister, and you've been here quite a long time, Stuart.
Yeah, this is 22 years this year I've been here, so absolutely love it.
Excellent stuff. And regarding Cambridge United, you've had, it's your second spell with the club. You were there for a long time before, wasn't you? Is that right?
Yeah. So I started in 2005 and did 12 seasons. So I finished in 2017 and then stepped away. Just other things were busy. And then I got a call in 2023 from Bonds to say, would I go back? So here we are, 4 seasons back in, second time round.
And your club chaplain, and I'm interested. It's something that kind of goes under the radar a little bit. We hear your name sort of crop up from time to time. Obviously, when we've had loss, and we've had a lot of that, unfortunately, at the club in recent times, and it's just sadly the cycle of life. But what does a club chaplain do in layman terms, if you like?
So we're there basically to care for people. That's really what we're there for. So when I was there, the first 12 years, I was club chaplain. This time round, there's Ben and myself. So Ben's club chaplain and I'm first team chaplain. So my role really now is first team, players, staff, and the kind of families around that. But ultimately, we're there to care for people. So that can be fans, that can be directors, that can be stewards, that can be players, families, all of it. If it's a person, and we can care for them. And that pastoral role we kind of carry.
Okay, so can that be sort of mental health issues and stuff like that, or financial worries and stresses? So a broad, wide range of issues.
Absolutely, all of that, and more. We don't necessarily solve all the problems, but sometimes we can signpost people, because we do that in our day jobs anyway, and we're volunteers at the club. We know people, we know who to go to, we know where to signpost people to. So if people are struggling with whatever, we're a place that they can go to and can talk to, and we can then point them in the direction of somebody else if they want that. Equally, sometimes it's just enough just to talk to somebody, and we can be those people.
Gary, quite humbling to sit down with Stuart. He's a top guy. He's been affiliated with the football club for a long time, and club chaplain is not a role to be underestimated, a voluntary role, and Stuart and Ben do a terrific job for the football club.
They do, and I would say that Stuart's what I call an unsung hero from the football club, personally, along with, we talk about Ian. Ian gets the credit he deserves these days, I think, a bit more, but Stuart not so much, and his role with fans. And people say to me, why do we need a club chaplain, about the religion? Well, no, it's not. It's about his empathy and his kindness and the way he looks after families when they've been United supporters all their lives and they lose a loved one. We saw it again on the pitch side yesterday with Stuart and Jamie Winter's family. I worked with Stuart for a couple of years at the football club in a very tough period, and the fact that the employees at the time were working really, really hard in difficult circumstances, and quite often Stuart would come in, put his head in the door and say, "How are you all?" And he meant it. He wasn't just ticking a box. He was there to make sure everybody was okay, and can't speak highly enough about the guy. He's a really lovely human being and a fantastic United fan. He's a big United fan, Stuart. Quite often I'll see him on the way in and he'll say to me, "How are you feeling?" I go, "Well, apart from this next 90 minutes, I'm not so sure." And at the end, bit of a smile and a wink and a wave when Coconuts is on. And he's a top guy.
He really is, yeah. We'll play a bit more of the interview with Stuart next week. We've got a sort of limited amount of time. We've tried to pack in as much as we possibly can here. We've got Cambridge, City and Histon coming up. But, a real top guy, Stuart. And, what was, we should mention Jamie Winter. Sadly lost him to cardiac arrest, I believe, Gary, a few weeks ago. And just had a promotion to the South Stand. He was a friendly face you always saw at the front of the Newmarket Road there. He was certainly etched in the Cambridge United family, even a bit of a more light-hearted moment. We had a player back in the conference days there and the sort of darker times, and I remember Jamie standing there sort of facing the Newmarket Road end, and he did have a resemblance to a once used midfielder, Richie Hanlon, and I do specifically remember that, and then NRE sort of teasing Jamie and sort of singing "There's only two Richie Hanlons," and then once Jamie had sort of twigged that's what they were singing and it was about him, he kind of had a wry smile and saw the soft, light, funny side of it. And he'll be sorely missed, along with we've lost some big characters at the football club over the last, we always do, but especially over the last year or so. And when I saw Stuart, there was a member of Carol Looker's family there who obviously used to run the coaches and sell the 50/50s. I went to a funeral of Elise Chouette. She's younger than me, in the summer, and having people like Stuart there to help. He's helping Jamie's family actively now. I'm sure he won't mind me sort of saying that he's helping them sort what they need to sort out now with arrangements, etc. So having club chaplains is a big part of the football club and needs to be highlighted. Their great work. It
does. It's a really important role. You're right. We're like a family. When we lose somebody, it's tough. And no different with Jamie. He was a familiar face and a happy, smiling face. So it's a tough gig. But Stuart's really good in the situations that he's put into, and you couldn't want anybody better.
Excellent, fine words, Gary. And stay tuned for next week, 'cause we're going to hear more from Stuart Wood. It was an extended interview, and as I say, we've only got so much time. We are going to move on to Histon next. Had a brilliant FA Cup result yesterday.
From the Terraces,
Histon.
Yeah, so as I said, Histon knocking out Brightling CM Regent, who playing step forward. Brilliant result for them. A bit of an upset. Goals from Danny Gould, Ryan Sharman and an own goal. Matt Payne reflects on what was a really impressive 3-1 win for the Stoots.
So Matt, a first win of the season. He did it in style and he caused an FA Cup upset as well with that 3-1 win. Sum that up for us.
Yeah, really, really pleased with the performance yesterday. We felt after the previous weekend's game, the 2-1 defeat at home to Coton, there was some really positive signs. Some confidence was starting to come back through again. So although we were happy with the performance, we were obviously disappointed with the result last weekend. But we kind of said to the guys in training during the week, if you can mirror that performance with a little bit more added quality, we have every chance of getting a result this weekend. So whilst a lot of people probably wasn't expecting that yesterday, I think we were quietly confident. We fancied having a good shot at it yesterday. So I'm really pleased we were able to get across the line.
Yeah, it was quite a lively first half where sort of everything happened, really. Almost everything that could have happened did happen as well. It started with that wonder strike from Danny as well, which was a great way to start things off.
Fantastic strike, and I've seen the highlights, keep watching it a few times now. Really, really good finish, but obviously we're lucky we have the games filmed with the VO camera, but we can see the whole build-up to it, and I think a lot of that got sort of missed off on the highlights. Like, it was a really good passage of play for us, and something we, again, said to the lads, like, we wanted to get on the front foot early. We knew for Brightlingsea it was their first proper competitive game of the season, so kind of thought if we could take the game to them straight away, we'd have a really good shot of doing that. And then, what a wonder strike to open up the game with.
On the subject of goals, Ryan Sharman got off the mark as well. Great for him to do so.
Yeah, there was a lot of antics going on around the penalty. They obviously weren't happy that we were given it. It seemed a clear and obvious decision to us. But then it just took a bit of time before Ryan could do it. And for someone who hadn't scored in the opening 3 games, I think it was really important that he kept his composure there and does what Ryan's capable of doing, as we've seen over many years.
Well, wins are wins, and it always breeds that confidence. How important is it now to carry on that momentum?
Yeah, I mean, some people have sort of said, you've got, no league game till the end of the month now, so you've just got some cups to focus on. Depends what you really want to have a go at. And we've said to all the guys, like, every competition's being taken seriously. After the start of the season we've had, we can't afford to once try and rotate round or try things out a little bit in these cup competitions. We have to put what we think is the best team out there, and everyone wants to do well in the FA Cup and FA Vars. I know some people will say differently, but I think deep down, most managers would tell you they want to have a good FA Cup run or an FA Vars run.
Yeah, and you've obviously got this situation now where you've got sort of 3 cup games in a row, starting obviously with yesterday. Now, one of the things that is quite good, perhaps, is you avoided a replay, because we're in the stage of the competition where actually replays happen, so you haven't got to worry about squeezing that in somewhere. In terms of the FA Cup, then I think the draw for the next round's already been made, hasn't it?
It has. I think we're waiting to see. We're hosting the winners of Downham Town or Cornard United.
So a home game as well, so you must be pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, it feels like we're at home quite a bit this month, and even when we look at the next weekend's game, it's still a local derby to go to, so thankfully we haven't had any big journeys on the road just yet.
And that's something that we've talked about before, haven't we, as well, being the division that you are. But anyway, a great win, 3-1 victory over Brightlingsea Regents, who play a division above, so a cup upset. Nice way to get things going, get the ball rolling for the season. Matt Payne, thank you very much indeed for your time.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel Baker and Matt Payne there. That's a great result for Histon. Congratulations there in front of just under 200 people. They travel to Soham next weekend in another big cup game, the FA Vars. So, yeah, big congratulations to Histon. Next up, we've got Cambridge City.
From the Terraces.
Cambridge City.
What a weekend it's been for all 3 of our sides. A 4-1 win away at Lowestoft Town in front of 327 people. A goal from Freddie Hockey after 2 minutes. Lowestoft equalised, and then goals from Charlie Royal, Jaden Randall and Charlie Brown Bambo before a red card for Ryan King. Let's hear from Lily White's captain, Jaden Randall.
So, Jaden, you had a solid pre-season and started the new campaign in style with a 4-1 victory over Lowestoft in the FA Cup. Sum that up for us.
Yeah, we've had a great pre-season. We've looked great. Other than probably our last game, we probably weren't at it. But Mickey said to us in the change room, I'm kind of glad we've got that game out of the way now. It's probably a blessing in disguise. And I think we've come into yesterday's game high hopes, and we've come in and done a job. It could have been 8-1. Conceded a poor free corner, just a little free header in the middle. We've worked so well and been so good at them, so it was a bit of a kick in the teeth. But other than that, we've turned it back round and come away with a 4-1 win.
Yeah, 3 goals in the second half. It was 1-1 at the break. What were the manager's words of wisdom to you?
It was just, it didn't really say much, to be honest, because I don't think they had one chance other than the corner, and we just couldn't find the back of the net, and we hit the post, hit the crossbar, a couple of scuffs that went wide. We knew it was going to come. It was just more of a be patient and it will come. Don't get frustrated, because obviously when you start getting frustrated, mistakes happen, and that's the only way we would have ended up losing the game or drawing the game. It's just from our own getting frustrated. But no, we kept our cool, chipped away and got our second goal, and then it just kicked on from there.
One of the goal scorers was your good self. Talk us through your goal and how pleased were you to open your account for the season in the first game.
I think they put on Twitter saying it was a towering header, but it was actually an acrobatic scissor kick. But it was a good goal, I'll give it that. I think we had about 30 I think someone was counting the stats. I think we had 30 chances on goal, and I think it was like 12, 13 on target. And I think I had 2 headers myself, and then ended up coming back acrobatic scissor kick. It was come out of nowhere.
Fantastic stuff. Wanted to ask about the red card for Ryan King. I don't know what you saw of it, but obviously a bit unfortunate that perhaps that was the only thing that perhaps tainted the day slightly.
Yeah, King's unlucky. Their own skipper said to me, that's not a red card. Don't get me wrong, he's gone in hard and it's a fair tackle, but it's... I suppose the modern game is getting softer, but it's a great tackle. I feel sorry for Kingy because he's worked hard, he's come on, and he's been given a red card which shouldn't have been one. Obviously, the lad, I think, broke his toe. That's what he was going to the hospital for, thinking he broke his toe. So we wish him a speedy recovery. But there's freak accidents in football. Obviously, I've been on the other end of it myself where I broke my leg, and there was no hard done by it. It's just that some things like that happen, but it's just how Kingy plays. He won't change. It's just he was unlucky on the day, and obviously, you've got to be careful what you say about the referees, but it was quite a shambles day. The lino given offside from a throw-in, and it's just one of them. So it didn't surprise anyone that something like that was going to happen. It was either going to be a penalty or a red card, and unfortunate for King, he's ended up on the red card, but it was a very harsh decision for him.
In terms of next week, you're up against Canvey Island in your league opener. How excited are you to be back in front of the fans again in a competitive match?
Yeah, it's a massive game. I think Canvey have been tipped for favourites. Obviously, they lost yesterday, so they're going to be a bit... I think they had a red card as well, so they're going to be a bit nervous. And we're flying. I think we're trying to get ourselves in the stadium as well, so it'll be a great day for the club. And yeah, we hopefully just kick on like we did yesterday, play as no different, and push on with the league now.
Superb. Great stuff to hear from Jayden Randall. He's a great guy. He's really sort of committed to Cambridge City, signed a deal there, and he's an important player for him. Pops up with a goal, loves a goal. Yeah, just a good guy to have in your side there, and a brilliant result for the Lily Whites to had a lot of movement over the summer, a lot of incoming, so the pre-season's been pretty good, and they've kind of carried that good form into FA Cup action. They will play Sudbury, I believe, in a couple of weeks. In the next round there, but the real stuff starts for next Saturday. They entertain Canvey Island in the league, and they'll be looking to get off to a good start. I think it's vital if City have aspirations of being in them playoffs, which has been extended this season. I believe they've got to get off to a good start and don't want to be playing catch up as they've done the last couple of seasons. So yeah, overall it's been an absolutely brilliant weekend for all three of our teams, so congratulations to Cambridge United, Histon and Cambridge City. We are coming towards the end of the show. Thank you very much, Gary Atyes. Absolutely flown by. Cheers for your company tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Thanks for the invite.
No problem. You can listen back, as always, wherever you get your podcasts. This has been From the Terraces. I've been Scott McGeorge. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll be back same time next week to discuss all the weekend football action.